Ottawa trades Matt Duchene and Julius Bergman to Columbus for Vitaly Abramov, Jonathan Davidson, a conditional 2019 first-round pick, and a conditional 2020 first-round pick.
All right, from a systems perspective, we're good to proceed. We're all on the same page. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody. That's it. Matt Duchene's a Blue Jacket.
The trade deadline is interesting. Every single year, we see teams make extremely risky trades, giving up major future pieces just to acquire a veteran player or perhaps a supplementary piece to their existing core that will most likely leave in the offseason anyways. And as a result, we have seen trade deadline deals either propel a team to a cup or completely flop. I mean, hey, this deadline we would see the Toronto Maple Leafs give away a first round pick for Nick Foligno. Now granted, 75% salary retention is the main proponent of that high price tag, but no matter how you slice it, this is a massive risk. Yes, you are acquiring a great complementary piece for their existing core, but what happens if you don't win? As we have seen countless blunders of trading away a first round pick that develops into a superstar. But I guess time will only tell. And time will tell you to press subscribe for some more awesome hockey content. 50K is in our grasp. Unbelievable. And your support would really help the channel. Alright, what would be a trade deadline video without mentioning what is probably the worst case scenario deadline deals in NHL history? Because around 2013, the Washington Capitals were really going through it, as they were a dominant regular season team. In fact, in the record books, the Washington Capitals appear 3 times for the most wins in a single season out of the top 20 in NHL history, all of which happened when Ovechkin was leading the team. Except, they could get there, they could win President's trophies, but they could do nothing in the playoffs. And as the years went on, it was becoming a real problem. So heading into the 2013 NHL deadline, Ovechkin, Capitals management, they were going all in, even if it means trading away their future. Thus, they would trade an 18-year-old Filip Forsberg, the 11th overall pick from not even 1 year prior, for Martin Erat and Michael Latta. But the thing is, Martin Erat, although a great complementary piece, would only suit up for 4 playoff games, get injured, play some games the next season, until he would run into some more injuries and get traded away for a bag of pucks. Michael Latta, he would have virtually no impact on the series, and was at best a 4th line fringe player. But what makes this entire scenario even worse? The Capitals, the very next season after trading away one of the top prospects in the world, wouldn't even make the playoffs. On top of the fact, this was the final straw that broke the camel's back. Because after going all in and failing once again, George McPhee would be fired as GM of the Capitals as an indirect result of this Hail Mary trade. And as for Filip Forsberg, 1 year later, he was a 30 goal scoring rookie who also played in the All-Star game and has been an absolute stud ever since. So the Washington Capitals virtually gave up an 18-year-old top 6, 30 goal scoring winger for 4 games of Martin Erat. But hey, Obi did get his cup. Last year, around this exact time, so the trade deadline, we would see yet another massive blunder. As the number 1 trade bait at the time, Taylor Hall, was shockingly traded to the Arizona Coyotes for what was the equivalent of 5 great prospects, as they would receive a first round pick, Merkley, who was a previous first rounder, and 2 other great prospects in Schneider and Kevin Ball. 5 great prospects would be given away at the deadline for a rental player in Taylor Hall. Not to mention the important context of the situation is the fact that although Arizona was a solid team, they were by no means considered a serious contender by anyone. With that being said, Arizona would make it past the play-in round, but they would be completely obliterated by the Avs. I mean, back-to-back 7-1 losses, obliterated. But that's not even the bad part in my opinion. What made this whole situation a complete disaster is the fact that Chayka, this man, would make this trade, get caught for illegal fitness testing, which also made Arizona forfeit a first and second round pick, he would get suspended by his own team, and he would literally abandon his team heading into the playoffs. And with no help to this absolute gong show, Taylor Hall would end up leaving in free agency anyways. Meaning, John Chayka within this small time frame lost 7. I'm not even joking. Sorry, Arizona Coyotes fans, if you are out there. I know you're there. They lost 7 high quality prospects, as he would trade 5 great prospects for Hall, including 2 first rounders, on a team that isn't even playoff ready. And they don't even have any first round picks until 2022. And the absolute irony about this whole situation is the fact that this deadline, Hall will be traded once again. So 4 teams within a 1-year span. But this time around, he was acquired for a fraction of the cost, as Hall would cost a second round pick and Bjork. Now, the circumstances are completely different, but this stark contrast is crazy. And the amount of just pure damage John Chayka could do within this span, crazier. Back in the 90s, the Pittsburgh Penguins were a goddamn wagon. Back-to-back Stanley Cups to start the decade. Mario Lemieux, this guy, 160 points in 60 NHL games. What? Not to mention they had Ron Francis, Peter Nedved, Zubov, some guy named Jaromir Jagr. He seems okay.
My favorite player growing up was Jaromir Jagr.
The Pens had some of the greatest players in NHL history in their prime on one roster, and they were primed any season for another cup run. Thus, heading into the 1996 NHL trade deadline, they had more than enough assets to spare. So, they would trade an up-and-coming Markus Naslund, who was coming off his breakout season, 1-for-1 for Alex Stojanov, who would play 45 games for the Penguins, put up 6 points, and never play another game at the NHL level. And as for Naslund, he would develop into a 50 goal scoring captain and franchise player for the Canucks, acquired at the deadline for an enforcer rental player who was supposed to be the missing piece in their cup run, but they would be eliminated in the second round. And this is just a prime example of a team that is loaded and gets a bit too reckless with their assets. Back in 2016, the Chicago Blackhawks were in a very interesting spot. Fresh off a Stanley Cup win from 2015, they were in the midst of entering that awkward phase, where they still have a great core, but they are getting older and their depth is starting to suffer after years of high placements. So I mean, a comparable today is probably like the Pittsburgh Penguins. Their roster's aging, but at the same time, they're still led by Malkin and Crosby. So I mean, anything can happen. That was Chicago. And so heading into the deadline, they wanted to lock up 2 veteran bottom 6 pieces that could round out their depth and hopefully lead to another deep playoff run. So they would trade Phillip Danault in a second round pick for Thomas Fleischmann and Dale Weiss. However, Chicago would be eliminated in the first round. Thomas Fleischmann would play in a limited role and have virtually no impact, and would retire that same offseason. Dale Weiss, he would put up 1 goal in the playoffs and then leave that summer as a free agent. But the thing is, not only did the Blackhawks trade away a budding Danault, who has turned into an analytical superstar. I mean, look at these beautiful charts. Phillip Danault may lack some high-end offense, but he is as well-rounded and reliable as it gets, and in my opinion is the ideal 2-3 role-playing center on any championship caliber roster. But to add salt to the wounds, or perhaps to add sulfuric acid to the wounds, not only did they give up a superstar center, but that second round pick, Alexander Romanov. I repeat, they would also trade away the pick that would turn into who was the number ranked defensive prospect in the world. I'm doing my research, I'm sitting here, I'm feeling good, drinking some coffee, doing research for this trade, and I just can't get over how mind-blowing this is. Phillip Danault, who has been in Selke discussion and a potential Norris caliber defenseman for 2 bottom 6 veteran players that would play 4 playoff games and leave that exact summer. And not to mention that Phillip Danault is literally the exact player Chicago would need today. Anyways guys, what was the worst and best trade from this year's trade deadline? Comment down below, I would love to know. And make sure to press subscribe for some more awesome hockey content. And as always, thanks for watching.